All right, so in this video, I'm just going to go over the transform element that Salesforce, I could be totally wrong, but I think this came out in uh, the last release, so winter 24. Might have came out before then, I'm not totally positive on that, but I do know that it's a fairly new, element or feature that we can use in flows. So I wanted to basically just run through a quick example of how you can use this in your flows. So in the example, we're going to walk through the flow we're going to build. I'm going to use the transform element to essentially just clone opportunities related to an account. So I'm just going to launch my flow with a button. We'll put that on the page layout, the account page layout, and nothing too crazy. Just kind of want to show the, capabilities of this element because it does seem, I've used it in a limited fashion, but it does seem pretty promising because it gives us another option as opposed to having to use loops in Flow. So I don't know if it's, it might not totally replace loops for, every and all situations. But as far as in the example I'm going to show now, as far as, just cloning a simple small amount of records, the transform element could be really useful. So let's jump into that. I'm going to open up an account here. And we'll just, like I said at the start here, we'll just create a button and we'll just add it to the account page layout. So this isn't going to be anything too crazy. Just really want to highlight how the transform element works. So let's get in and we'll create a new flow. And I'm just going to, I believe the transform element is in record triggered flows, screen flows, auto launch flows. I'm going to go with an auto launch flow. And let's get this started. So the first thing, remember, we're going to be on an account. Just really simple scenario. We just want to clone the account's opportunities. I know, it might not be a real world scenario, but again, just want to focus on the transform element. So first thing we'll do is we'll get records element in here. And we want to get opportunities. I'm just going to get all the opportunities under an account, no additional filtering. So I'm going to use text variable. I'll call it account ID. Data type will be text. And I'm going to set it to available for input. And that's it. So I'll pause here just in case you guys are following along. So I basically need to create this text variable for account ID because this is an auto launch flow. I'm going to launch it via a button on the account object, right? So once we're done with our flow and we save it, we'll have a flow URL. We'll use that URL in our button, and within the URL, we can actually set the value for our flow variables. So in this case, and again, we'll walk through this in a couple of minutes, but just to kind of give you guys some context, we're going to pass the current record we're on. It's going to be an account. We're going to pass that ID to this account ID variable, which the flow can then use. So that's kind of the reasoning I'm doing this now. Click done. And then how many records do we want to store? We'll go with all records and all fields. That's fine. So that's really it, right? The only filtering that we're using for our get opportunities, we just want to make sure all the ops are under the same account that we're going to be on. So we'll get out of there. And then we're going to pull in the new transform. You can see it's still in beta, so take this all with, I guess, a grain of salt. I'll just name it set fields on cloned opportunities. Okay, so this is kind of where all the magic happens. So source data, basically what, in our case, it's going to be right here, right? This get opportunities collection, because that's going to be our, the source of what we're going to be cloning. So I'm going to click this plus sign next to source data, and we can see what resources we have available. We're going to want our record collection variables, specifically the opportunities from our get opportunities element. So we'll go with that. And once we do that, right, now we can see, because it's an opportunity collection, we have all the opportunity fields. So that's a good sign if you see, your list of opportunity fields. And then for target data, we're going to click this plus sign. I think there's two different data types, apex defined. I haven't used this transform element for that yet. So we're going to stick with record, and we'll go with allow multiple values, right? Because we're basically taking the opportunities from our get opportunities collection, and we're going to clone them into another opportunity collection. So with that being said, we're going to want this new target data, we're going to want this to be a collection. And then for object, I think you guys can guess this one, we're going to go with opportunity. And same thing, once I click done here, now we can see opportunity collection, and we have all of our opportunity fields. So now it's really as simple as mapping, what fields we want to set in our target, in our new opportunities that we're going to create based off of the collection of opportunities that we've already gotten, right? So I believe in another screen here, let me just see what fields are required for opportunities to be created in this dev org I'm working in. Okay, so we want to map. This is, again, just going to be really simple. We just want to get kind of the required fields just so that you guys can see how this transform element actually works. So account ID, we're going to map that to account ID. Let's see, we have close date. So we're going to map that to close date. And I think we got a couple more fields here. So name, we definitely need that. Opportunity name. You guessed it, we're mapping it right to name. And then one more field, stage name. And we're going to map that to stage name for the opportunities that we're creating. So that's pretty much kind of the basics of working with this transform element, at least for this example. Now, a really cool kind of additional feature with this is if we hover over, I guess we have to click. So if we click one of our target fields, you can see we can delete the mapping, but they also give us this formula feature. So that's really cool, because rather than just cloning over values from our original collection of opportunities, we can manipulate those values before actually injecting them into the new collection of opportunities. So for this example, I'll just, I'll use this function for the name mapping. So rather than just mapping in the original opportunity name into the cloned new opportunities, I want to adjust that name before creating these new ops. So we'll use the function, or the formula, I should say, for that. And you can see, so this is kind of, I don't know, behind the curtain of the map, if you want to call it. We can see it's pulling in the name for each and every opportunity in our first element in this flow, right? The get opportunity. So we want to change that. If we want to, say, adjust the name to be, anything else, we can call it whatever we want. So what I'll do is, and it's just, if you guys are admins, developers, whatever, you've been working in Salesforce, this is exactly something you should be used to, right? So it's like you're creating a formula field. So I'll just do, and I'll add some parentheses in here. Whoop. Hyphen clone. So basically this formula is now, it's going to create an op for, every op in the original get records collection, But now every cloned opportunity, rather than just having the same name as the opportunity that it had cloned, it's now going to append -clone to its name. So just kind of a way to differentiate. Once these get created, we'll be able to see which ones are our actual cloned opportunities because their names are going to have -clone at the end. So I think I already did that, but let's do it again. So yep, the formula is valid. We'll X out of there. So that's pretty much it. With the transform element, we've now mapped the fields that we want. We've transformed via a formula some of those values, specifically the opportunity name. We can do that for all the other fields if we wanted to, but just want to give you guys an example of how that works. So last but not least, we need to create these, right? So we'll use a create records. There we go. So a create records element. I'll just call this one create cloned opportunities. How many? In my case, we want multiple, right? Because we have a collection here that we're mapping our opportunities into. And we'll find that collection within the record collections section, and it's going to be right here, right? Set fields on cloned opportunities. So it's really just, I guess it's the name of the transform element. And that's it. So from there, we'll get this saved. And we hope this thing works. Let's see, we'll go with clone, actually count, clone opportunities. Okay, save this. So flow has been configured, it's saved. We'll now activate it. And now we just have to, from our account, we just need to create our button, right, that we're going to use to launch this flow. So edit object. And we want buttons, links, and actions. And we want new button or link. Because this is an auto launch flow, I don't think we can use the new action button. I think it has to be launched. Yeah, it has to be from here because we're going to paste in the link of our flow. So we'll name our button clone ops. That's fine. I want, in my case, a detail page button. I'm just going to put it on the page layout. All this should be fine. And now we got to go back to our flow. We got to get the flow URL. So here we go. And to get the flow URL, so you want to scroll all the way to the right here. There's going to be a little down arrow next to your flow, and we'll do the view details and versions. And now we can see there's a field for URL. So we'll copy this, and we just have to paste in our flow URL there. So remember, there's one more, before we save this, there's one more thing we have to do. If I go back into my flow, if you remember with the get opportunities element, we're using that text ID or the text variable account ID, right? So in order to pass the current account's ID to this flow, we need to essentially set this variable within our flow URL, or button URL, I should say. So let's go back. Let me just, I was going to copy this variable name. We don't have to do that. It's actually, you know what, I'll do it. I was going to say it's easy enough to type, but that's all right. So back to our button. Now to add, or I guess to set a flow variable within the button URL, trying to think of the word to use here. I'll just say kind of the form that you want to do it in is you want a question mark, and then you want variable name, So question mark, account ID equals, and then parentheses. And now I'm just going to use the insert field feature here within this button. So we'll go with account ID. And let me see, we'll check our syntax. That looks good there. Okay, so that should do it. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember if I need these parentheses. Let's see if this will save without it, just for the heck of it. You know what? I'll try that. I'll try no parentheses since this is a field, right? So we'll save this. Okay, so that's it. So just for more clarity, you want to paste in your flow URL, and then if you have a variable to set, you want to start it with a question mark, variable name equals, and then the value that you want to use for that variable. So that's it. You can of course set multiple variables if you want within this button. If you want to do that, just look up look it up on Google. There's a bunch of documentation and articles on setting flow variables within a button URL. So I'm not going to do that for this demonstration, but I just wanted to give you guys the idea. So from here, we have our button created. Now we'll just add it to our page layout. I think in this org, yeah, I want this one, the training account layout. And remember, I named my button Clone Ops, and it's found under the Mobile and Lightning Action section. And I'm just going to pull this down into the Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience Actions part of this page layout. We'll save this. And that's it. So as far as configuration goes, should be all set. So let me refresh my account page here. Curious to see if that variable value works in the button without the parentheses. I think it is. I should know. Done plenty of them before in the past, but we'll see. So we're on our account. We see our button right here, right? Clone Ops. If I look at related, we're going to see 7 opportunities. Okay, so after we click this button, we see 14, and all of them should have that hyphen clone at the end of their name. So let's go back, click our button. Okay, your flow finished. Now, for this example, flow finish behavior, it isn't really something I wanted to focus on. It wasn't too important for me. So you could probably do this with a screen flow, or find another way to finish your flow so that it doesn't direct your users. Plenty of ways to do that so that your users aren't directed to this page that just kind of lets them know that the flow finished. So again, just something that wasn't really too important for this demonstration. But let's go back to our account. And moment of truth. There we go. So it was a little slow to update, but we're now seeing, once I refresh the opportunity related list on our account, we now have 14 items, and you can see I have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So kind of out of order there, but we have 7 opportunities that now have hyphen clone in their name, and basically 1 for each opportunity that the account already had. So I think this transform element, it seems really promising. I haven't tested it out with like a crazy high number of records. Like, is it going to be able to handle, cloning 1,000 or thousands of records? Not really too sure. Flows have their limits, right? I'm sure you guys are familiar with loop limits and all that good stuff, bad stuff, I should say. But so I would be curious. This does need some more stress testing, most certainly on my end. But I think as far as like this example where, you're not going to be cloning or creating an abnormal number of records, you should be pretty comfortable using transform and not really have to worry about it failing or anything like that. So I think it's a really cool feature, and It's a nice optional way to go as opposed to looping in your flow. So hopefully it'll speed up performance, uh, with kind of how flows operate. So that's really it, and hopefully this helps.